And again, welcome to Idaho Today. The period between Memorial Day and Labor Day is referred to as the 100 deadliest days due to the increased number of fatal and serious injury crashes on the road. And St. Alphonsus is working around the clock to educate those about staying safe this summer. Take a look. Dr. Janwala, you know, the time between Memorial Day and Labor Day is referred to as the 100 deadliest days, and that's when motor vehicle crashes are at their peak, especially among young drivers, right? So what does that mean to you, though, as a trauma surgeon?
So it's the time when everybody's on vacation. They want to have a good time. They want to go out with their families. They want to carry all of their equipment, their dogs, their kids, their friends. And it means that we often see a lot of these patients in the emergency room, unfortunately, because people are not quite as careful driving on the road. They're driving at high speeds. They're not wearing their seatbelts. They're drinking and driving. And so we see a lot of them come into the ER hurt. We also see a lot of teenagers and a lot of young drivers coming in. And our ability to control our impulses is not very developed when we're young people. So we have a lot of drunk drivers coming in.
There are some things that people might be able to do to kind of prevent some of those traumas, right?
Yeah.
Because in addition to car crashes, there are other things that you witness. Tell me about that.
So a lot of it is people wanting to do some housing projects, for example. So we see here a lot of elderly people actually getting up on ladders, fixing their roofs. In the winter, sometimes we see people getting up to put up their Christmas lights. And they're oftentimes on a lot of blood thinning medicines, and they've got other medical problems, and they fall and they hit their heads, and they can have some really bad problems. There's a lot of broken legs, a lot of broken backs that come in from this. So a lot of falls from standing, ATV accidents, a lot of boating accidents, a lot of water sports in the summer. And when you mix alcohol into that whole thing, it makes things a little bit, it can make things a little bit more dangerous, right? And so some of the things you can prevent is, you know, wear your seatbelt, don't drink and drive. I mean, the things that are good, solid public health messages is they really do help save lives.
There's a reason why people say don't drink and operate a vehicle, don't drink and operate heavy machinery. If you know that you are, you know, susceptible to falling or dizziness, maybe hire somebody to help you with your roof or to hang something.
Or hydrate, right? In the summertime, especially this summer has become extremely hot. Hydrate, drink fluids, not alcohol.
Yes, because alcohol is not hydrating.
No, it's not.
Quite the opposite. And to that point, though, St. Alphonsus Regional Medical Center in Boise is actually classified as a level 2 trauma center. So help us understand, what does that mean, and what does that mean when it comes to helping trauma patients?
So in a trauma system, there's different levels of hospital-based care, and the American College of Surgeons verifies different hospitals as a level 1, level 2, level 3, and a level 4. And it basically means the amount of specialty services that we have and the quality of the overall team that takes care of everybody. And here, we are a level 2. We're not a level 1 only because we are not affiliated with a university, and it brings in that little academic component, which, you know, we've got affiliations, but we're not a university. But a level 2 does everything that a level 1 does, other than having university affiliation. So we can put you on some of the most technically complex care that you might need, or we can take care of you just simply break a leg. But if you have trauma, a verified trauma center is where you want to be, because we, as trauma surgeons, we're trained with board certifications to be specialists in this kind of care, and we provide holistic care that is not just the medical patching up, but it provides some of the social work, some of the behavioral management sometimes, mental health management, the medical care, and trying to make sure that when you leave, you have the best chances of survival, but also of thriving, right? You have a best functional chance.
That's such a great point, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, especially coming out of a trauma center, because trauma has multiple impacts, not just physical, but there's also a mental aspect to it too. So that's incredibly important to hear. Also, St. Alphonsus, I hear you recently opened a new neurosurgical trauma ICU. So what are your capabilities then of that new unit, and what kind of trauma care do you provide there?
Our surgical and trauma patients are now dedicated to that ICU. So if you need an ICU level of care, if you're a trauma patient, that's where you go, which means our nurses are specialty trained in providing trauma care for surgical patients because they act when you're injured, when I'm injured, our bodies act in a very different way than if you come in because you have a heart attack, for example. And so having a dedicated unit who understands those physiologic differences and can provide the kind of in-unit care that doesn't necessarily require going to the operating room for everything. We can do a lot of things in that ICU that might otherwise require going to the OR. We can do a lot of procedures there because we are dedicated to the way that surgical patients behave and how their physiology behaves.
Wow.
And we round with a multidisciplinary group of people. So it's not just me saying, hey, we're going to do this and this and this, right? It's our social workers, our case managers, our bedside nurses, obviously, respiratory therapists, there's physical therapists, occupational therapists, everybody that's involved in touching this patient and making sure.
It's a full team approach. Yeah.
And every day, Monday through Friday, we do rounds with all of these patients, with all of these providers. And then Saturday and Sunday, obviously, it's just me and the nurse rounding. But it's great to see if you're a patient because it makes you feel like, I think, that it is a holistic way of taking care of you.
Fully supported. It's full comprehensive care, right?
Yeah.
You're not just addressing one thing, you're addressing the entire person. And that includes what happens inside and out.
Yeah.
So where can people go so they can learn more?
So stalphonsus.org is a great website to take a look and see what you can learn.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. I, for one, feel much better knowing there's support like you at St. Alphonsus.
Be safe.
Yes, please be safe.